Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is the long-awaited sequel from Double Fine Productions that released its original title back in 2005. Double Fine, led by Tim Schafer, produced a follow-up that continues the story of Rasputin Aquato and picks up just after our adventure at Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. This time around, Raz is an intern with Psychonauts HQ and has to figure out the most recent mole within the Psychonauts who caused their leader, Truman Zanotto, to get kidnapped. From here, Raz embarks on another journey that takes us through the depth of Psychonauts HQ, legendary Psychonauts, his rich family history, and everything in between. And we have our game. This is a game Double Fine should be proud of. Apart from this game building on the strength of the original in every way, Psychonauts 2 exercises subtle and effective writing on mental health topics, provides an excellent story, supplies an excellent world to explore, and exercises creativity in the most imaginative of ways that will stick out in your memory for years to come. Starting with Psychonauts 2 having extremely strong writing. The Psychonauts games have a way of discussing mental health topics without having to outwardly mention the phrase in its dialogue or use common terms. In many Psychonauts missions, you explore the past and current state of Raz's family and Psychonaut agents that he looks up to. As you explore the past of his heroes, you discover that all of them have a story to tell, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant, and the game delicately walks you through that while allowing the space for these characters to reflect and grow. The balance between character growth and exploring difficult topics is held magnificently and prompts introspection into our own lives, all without making it feel forced. People can find relatability and solace within these characters and their stories, which makes playing the game feel genuine and sincere, making it a greater joy to be glued to from start to finish. The overarching story that we explore through Rasputin is excellent in construction and will have you wanting to play through the entire game non-stop. Although there's one clear overall objective for Psychonauts 2 at large, the game provides a surprising amount of depth into Raz's background and the other Psychonauts around him that get you invested into them and their goals. This builds the stakes for their overall goal on account of getting ample time to form an attachment to each of them, which helps naturally root for them in support of their goals. I found myself wanting to play through every mission and complete every objective in order to learn as much about these characters as possible. When the twists and turns start to get introduced into the story, you will probably find yourself caring more than in a typical video game narrative. This keeps the narrative refreshing throughout and keeps you coming back for more. What separates Psychonauts 2 apart from most games is the high level of creativity used in the game's design. Throughout my playthrough, I ran into segments of the game where you were plunged into an entire new experience and method of gameplay. Although brief, these moments were a welcome segue between significant events and blended well within the game without making them feel too out of place. For example, you might find yourself driving a vehicle in the game for a few minutes or fighting one-on-one against a foe as if you were playing Injustice or Street Fighter. The creativity doesn't stop there, as the world building within the game is extensive. You learn a lot more about the Psychonauts organization at large and their purpose, as well as the outside world that it resides in. It allows for a grander scale within the game and makes everything seem much more meaningful and exploratory. This exploration is compounded upon with a lush, beautiful scenery that's easy to navigate and run around in, looking for every side card and power core. Although the game does improve on its overall gameplay from the original, the combat can be clunky. The Psychonauts skills that you learn are useful and fun to use, but if you're fighting against enemies like a bad mood, it can be tedious to flip between subsets of abilities. I found myself starting a combat sequence and having to stop the game to bring up the ability wheel on too many occasions to where it did dramatically slow down the game. The abilities and enemies are creative and fun, but I could have done with fewer abilities or a smoother system in which to use them. The excellent story told within the playthrough of Psychonauts does get bogged down by the time you reach the game's conclusion. This is mostly due to the number of collectibles present within the game, which include bag tags, baggage, and more. Initially, collecting bag tags and emotional baggage is a welcome incentive to level up in the pursuit of gaining additional abilities. However, by the time the halfway mark of the story rolls around, I found the sheer number of collectibles for many levels to be too cumbersome and high in volume to justify spending hours on. I was too engrossed in the story and the characters to care what the additional leveling up would do for my psychic abilities. This further extends into levels that felt a little too long for too much of the time. Although I did appreciate the ample amount of time I got with many characters to build the stakes of the overall story, sometimes it got to be too much to the point where I got tired of walking around inside their minds and just wanted to move on. It was rare to find missions and levels where I didn't have fun, but it was relatively often where this initial high turned into me getting bored for an hour or two of being in the same general area. In the end, when you combine the creativity in writing, world, and character design with a great story and important themes, you're sure to have an excellent game on your hands at minimum. Psychonauts 2 accomplishes just that and reminded me of some of my favorite platformers that I experienced early on in my gaming life. I can confidently say this experience is a Game of the Year contender for 2021 and am awarding a score of 9 out of 10. It was amazing. Friends, have you played Psychonauts 2? If so, what'd you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo game review. Click right here if you like this and you want to see more. I've been Bryce, and until next time, have a great day.